Hello everyone, my name is Erica from Me to You Paper Crafts, and this morning I wanted to show you what I've been making in the last couple of weeks. I've been very interested in this pleated fold card. I made quite a number of them, as you can see here, and I saw this from France Martin, and there are actually a lot of videos on showing how to do this pleated fold card. It's kind of similar to the drapery fold card that we've also seen in the past, but I did something a little bit different on another card. Is I actually took the completed fold or paper, and before I folded it I actually just cut it in half along here and ended up making this card. So I put a piece at the bottom and a piece at the top, and I thought it looked, you know, a little bit for something a little bit different. So I'm going to show you how to make that today. The size of the DSP and all of the scoring measurements are the same for both styles. So we're going to start with a card base. This is Cajun Craze. I've put a top layer on of Delightful Dijon, and I chose this beautiful paper from the Moroccan Designer Series paper. I just love the colors. It's absolutely perfect for fall. Alright, so I'm going to show you to do the fold first, or the pleats first. Oh, this is my extra piece that we're going to use for the inside of the card. Let's just set that aside. Alright, so you're going to take the 12 by 12 paper, and you're basically going to cut it 5 inches by 10. So you end up with this extra piece that we can use to embellish the inside of the card. Alright, so that's your 12-inch piece, and you're going to cut it off at 10 inches. Okay? And then what you're going to do is you're going to bring in your scoreboard. Here's our scoreboard, and you're going to put the long piece along the top. Now, the first thing you want to decide is which side of the paper do you want facing up for the pleats. And I'm, of course, going to choose this beautiful piece. This is a little bit more simple on the back, but I really want this piece to show on the front. All right, so there's several measurements that you're going to need. So let's take out my stylus, and I always like to remind people there's 2 ends to the stylus, and you'll note that one end has a little bit of a fatter ball than the other end, and you want to use the fatter one on Designer Series paper because you don't want to take the chance of ripping it. Alright, so the measurements you need, I've got them written down here in my book. The measurements you need are, you're going to score at 1 inch to start, 1 inch. Then you're going to go to 1.5 inches. So what you're going to be ending up doing, the pattern you're following is 1 inch, then 1/2 inch, then 1 inch, then 1/2 inch, and so on. So after 1.5 inches, you're going to go jump to 1 inch. So you're going to go to 2.5. Then you're going to do a little 1/2 inch. So you're going to go to 3. Then you need 1 inch, so you're going to jump to 4. And don't worry, these measurements will all be posted on my blog. So 4, jump to 1/2 inch, that's 4.5. Jump to 1 inch, that's 5.5. 1/2 inch is 6. 1 inch is 7. 1/2 inch is 7.5. Then you're going to jump to 8.5. And your final one is 1/2 inch at 9. Alright, so that's quite a bit of scoring to do. Alright? Now, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to grab a pencil, and you're going to grab a pencil, and you want to mark where the center points are on the long side and the short side. So on the long side, your center points are at 4.5 and 5.5. So just take a pencil and mark at 4.5 and at 5.5. Now you're going to be using these for cutting the paper. So 4.5 and 5.5, and you want to mark it also on the other side. So 4.5 and 5.5. And don't worry about the pencil marks. You can erase these later. All right. Then you're going to turn the paper to the short side, and again you're going to find the half point, and so this is going to be at 2 and 3 inches. So 2 and 3 inches. There's no scoring on this side. You're just going to mark it 2 and 3, flip it around, and go back to 2 and 3. Okay, got that? Alright, so we're done with the scoreboard. Now we need to pull in our paper trimmer. So let me grab that. Take my book away. Alright, now what you're going to do is you've got your middle pieces where you made your pencil marks, here and here. So you're basically going to be cutting from this first point to the first point on the side. See that? So it's kind of a triangular piece that you're going to cut off. So you're going to line those pieces up into the track. So I like to put a pencil, point of my pencil in here so that I get exactly that pencil mark. And make sure you're on the right one. This is the other one over here, and you want this one. So you're cutting from here, and you're lining it up to this one, the first one on the short side. Okay, so I always do a quick adjustment to make sure I've got it all lined up, and then you're going to cut that off. Okay, I didn't cut that quite hard enough. There we go. Okay, so you end up with a piece like this. Then you're going to do the other side. So again, you take that second point on the short side and line it up with the first point on this side. And with this pattern, it's hard to see where my pencil marks are, but there it is, right there. Okay, and there. And then I'm going to cut that. A little bit more pressure this time. All right. So you end up with kind of a funny shape. Then you're going to turn it around, you're going to do the same thing on the other side. So find your first pencil mark on this side and line it up with that second pencil mark on this side. And I am telling you, it is hard to find those little marks on this paper. And there's my first mark over here. Okay, I'm going to take that off, and then you're going to do this last side. So there's my first mark right there, and here is my second mark. And cut that off. Okay, so this is what you end up with, a piece that's shaped like this. Alright, so we're done with this. With the trimmer, put that away. These pieces you could use for some other project perhaps. Set those aside. Alright, now for the folding. Now, on the normal pleated, these other cards that I did, they kind of folded them in from the side to the center. And I'm going to do the same thing, but when I do mine, I'm going to reverse it. So you'll see what I mean in a minute. So for now, I'm going to turn this over to this side. And I'm going to fold it. So what you're doing is you're finding that center panel. Here's the center panel here, right? So you end up with that. So you fold the center over, and then you're going to fold back on that 1/2 inch mark. Then fold forward on the next 1 inch, fold back on the 1/2 inch, fold forward, and then you have one last 1/2 inch. Okay, and then you're going to do the same on this side. So this was your centerpiece that you folded over. Then you're going to fold back on the half, forward on the one, back on the half, forward on the one, back on the half. Once you've done one, it's not very confusing. All right, so on these cards, this is the side that has the two folds folded, and so you kind of get a little bit of a pleat in the middle. So I have the same thing here, see that? But I want to put it on my card this way, so I get this solid pattern on here like that. All right, now you can go through now, keep it folded, and if you want, you can grab your bone folder and you can just reinforce your pleats. Okay, and another way to keep it together is you're going to take your tape runner, and on every 1/2 inch piece you're going to run just a tiny bit in the middle. All right, so here's another 1/2 inch piece, and here's another 1/2 inch piece. Okay, and I'm going to turn it around, 1/2 inch. You can do them all at once, half. Oh, I think no, I'm good. 1/2 inch. Okay, so fold it, fold it, fold it. Okay, and then on these last flaps here, I'm going to just put a piece there, hold that down, and a piece there. Okay, I hope you get the idea. Like I said, do one and then it will be easy peasy. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut this down the middle. Now, I could have chosen to cut this when the piece was fully in one length, and then I could have folded all the pleats on the two pieces and glued them, but that to me is more work. So I am just going to now, hopefully you have a guillotine kind of a cutter to cut this, because that makes it much easier. I wouldn't advise using your paper trimmer, but you could easily use scissors. So if you just put a mark at the center here or eyeball it and just cut down the center. So I'm just going to go over to my guillotine and I'm going to cut that. Okay, I didn't quite get it in half, but you get the gist. Okay, so I could have put a pencil mark, because once you have that guillotine arm down, it's hard to see this side of the paper. But that's okay, that'll work. All right, so then this is my layered piece. And so I'm basically putting a piece down here, and I'm putting this piece up here, like that. Okay, so I'm just going to use my tape runner for that. I'm going to line that up at the bottom. All right, I'm going to do the same thing for this one. Okay, there you have it. All right, next step is we're going to mount this on this card. I like to open up my card, and it really helps to stand up to get this measured nicely, or centered. All right. Okay, now I'm going to do the same design, so I want to create this acorn. I used the copper embossing powder for the acorn and the saying, and I just love the way it turned out, and I think it'll look great with this paper. Alright, so let's do that. Now, I'm using the Acorny Thank You stamp set. This is the cutest little stamp set, and it comes with a coordinating punch. See? So, and I'm using the greeting from it too, dropping in to say hi, dropping. Get it? Acorns dropping. And boy, oh boy, do we have a lot of acorns dropping off our oak trees. Most of them are gone now. Alright, so I'm going to take my, now where's my stamp pad? I like to use the foam stamp pad for my stamping. And I've got my Versamark. And I'm going to make sure your Versamark is well inked. I try and remember to ink it up about once a month to keep it really sticky. So I'm going to, here's, the base color in this Moroccan is very vanilla. So I want to stamp this on very vanilla. So I'm going to do my high. Oh, you know what I forgot? Don't forget to use this. It's your embossing buddy, because you can get quite a bit of static and your embossing powder will stick to places you don't want it to stick. And that would just be awful. Alright, so I'm going to stamp that. And then I'm going to put my powder on and emboss off camera if that's okay. So I'm going to add my copper embossing powder to my greeting. And I'm going to heat this. Okay, that's it. Not a good idea to be heat embossing over my Versamark. That was a bit silly. Okay, I'm going to set that aside. And then I'm going to do my acorns. So again, I'm going to use Versamark. Now, when I stamp my acorns, I'm going to be using the punch to punch them out. So I advise using a skinny strip, because when you go to put it in the punch, it's just easier to line it up. You see, you're going to line up the top like that and line up the other acorn like that. So use about a 2-inch strip, 1.5-inch strip. So I'm going to do this here on this end, and I'm going to do the top, the acorn cap, on the other end. Alright, and again I'm going to throw my powder on there. We'll heat again. Alright, now I like to wait for this to kind of cool a little bit before I punch it out. So let's just put a few things away while we wait for it to heat up. Alright, so now we can punch. Now notice I did my acorn backwards, so let's do this piece first. Now when you punch this out, you're going to get the whole acorn, which is fine, because then what I do is I just glue the top piece on top. Alright, so we're going to punch that out. You see, you get the whole acorn. And that's fine. And then I'm going to do this piece. And this piece is totally backwards, so I really screwed up on this piece, didn't I? Okay, so I'm going to show you a little trick. If you're trying to punch out a small piece of paper, what you want to do is take any scrap. So I'm just going to use this as scrap. Take my tape runner, put a piece on there, and then we want this to go in the punch this way, so I'm just going to add this to that, and I can use it to feed. See? Just feed that in there like that and punch it. Oh, I hate making mistakes on camera, but you know what? It's a learning experience. And then I can kind of show you that if you make similar mistakes, how to fix them. Hope you're okay with that. Works for me, so there you go. Alright, and then I'm just going to use my tape runner, and I'm going to add this. You could add this with a dimensional if you want, but I find the pleats on the card make the card high enough, because I mail a lot of my cards, so I don't like too much dimension. So there, isn't that cute? Look at that cute little acorn. I love that copper. Now this I actually will put on a dimensional, I think. I'm trying to use up all my bit of scraps of dimensions, but let's just put one of these on. Okay. And this is going to go on like this in the middle of a card. Like that. Alright, okay, now for the greeting. I am using the new layering ovals. I couldn't help myself, I had to have them all, so I bought the layering oval circles and squares. I haven't committed to the hearts yet. Probably close to Valentine's Day I may do that. And I actually put mine on, I go to the dollar store and I get these little magnetic sheets. And so I've got the two sets. There's a larger size and a smaller size. So I like to keep them separate. So what I'm going to do is for the greeting, I think I picked on the larger, no, the smaller set or the larger set? Yeah, the smaller set. The middle, or second from the, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the second framelit with the matching scallop framelit. Okay, so I'm going to run over to my big shot, so I'll be back in just a second. Okay, I'm back. So there's the greeting, and then I chose something, I wanted something a little bit brighter on this card, so I chose the Emerald Envy. There's just some fantastic colors in here, a lot of the new in colors. So that's the Emerald, look at that, Emerald Envy. Okay, so let's just add this. There we go. Okay, look at that. Love it. Love those colors. All right, let's move this stuff out of the way. Now for the inside of the card, I did cut a piece of Very Vanilla for the inside. And remember this extra piece that we had? So I'm going to cut that. This is 4 inches. So I'm going to cut this down. Let's cut this by in half first. I'm not quite sure how wide this. Oh, it's 2 inches. So I'm going to cut a 1-inch strip and then cut it down to 4. I like to go over a tiny bit, make it a little bit longer than 4. Because if your measurements aren't exactly precise, you run into trouble. So I'm just going to put that on here, like that. See, and then whatever excess you have, you can just take your paper snips and trim it. I'd rather be longer than shorter. Okay, and then let's stamp. Oh, there's this one. This is cute. This says nuts for you. Oh no, sorry, nuts about you. Nuts about you. So I think I'm going to follow on with the green, even though an acorn isn't really green. I'm going to do green. So let's bring out my Emerald Envy ink pad and let's do it in green. When you get stamps that have letters etched in, make sure you tap very gently on your ink pad. You don't want ink to sink into the letters. You see how nice and clear that is? And we'll do a test. I'll just test it out just to show you. And remember, when you have some lots of ink, pretty solid images with lots of ink on it, I like to hold it to the paper for a few more seconds. And there, look how rich that looks. Beautiful. Of course, these are new pads, so they're very well inked, juicy. But just tap, tap, tap. And you shouldn't have any problems. Let's put it up here, Nuts About You. Again, hold it down for a few seconds. Look at that. Beautiful. All right. Let that dry a little bit. Try not to hurry your inking. I have found I've smudged a few things because the dye ink takes a little bit longer than you might think to dry. Nothing worse than finishing the card and then smearing something. Let's put this on the inside of the card. There we go. Okay, there's our card. I hope you enjoyed that. That fold is so fun. So I'll post all the measurements on my blog, and if you'd like to comment or send me a question via comment, I'd be happy to get back to you. Thank you so much for watching. Check out my blog, From Me to You Paper Crafts. My name's Erica Edney, Canadian Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Thank you so much. Bye for now.